Welcome to What's Cookin'.
I'm Deb.
And I'm Norma.
And today we're doing a Passover segment with a delicious harosis, a brisket, jello mold with sour cream and nuts, and Norma's
flourless chocolate cake.
Yummy.
With we're going to work on a ganache and maybe dress it up with some raspberries. We'll see.
Ooh.
Yeah, it should be good. So in our next segment, what we're going to be doing is teaching you how to do haroset, which takes no time at all, but a little bit of backstory to what it is. So it got its beginnings. It tells the spread, haroset tells the spread of the Jews and their exodus from Egypt, and wherever they landed, they took upon those lands the different spices, fruits, etc. to make unique haroses. So just quick, I'm going to read to you. Today I'm going to be making an Ashkenazi one, which is apples, various nuts, cinnamon, etc., and Manischewitz sweet wine. Then there's this, I can't even speak, a Spanish Sephardic one, which has pistachios, figs. There's an Italian haroset, another type of Italian haroset called Piedmontese, a Moroccan one, a Chinese one, an Iraqi one.
So no matter where you are, use the cultures of your area and make your own harosis.
Well, yes, but wait, there's more. A Yemenite, an Indian, and the Indian one, they put mango, papaya, and cashews, and then one from South America, from Curacao. So very interesting. But as I said, today we're going to do a little bit of a combination of an Ashkenazi with the Spanish Sephardic one. So this is from my friend Robin, and it's her recipe, which is a winner as far as I'm concerned. So what we're going to start with is a Fuji apple, one Fuji apple that has been peeled and then cored, and then I've cut it up in chunks. And you'll see why in just a second. And we're going to add to that nuts, and I'll tell you which kind, the dried fruit, cinnamon, and sugar. And of course the Manischewitz. So you can use the grape Manischewitz, cherry Manischewitz, or blackberry, whichever is to your liking. So let's start with the fruit that I've already cut up, the apple. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the Cuisinart, and we're just going to pulse it. Just maybe 5 times at the most. If you don't have one, you can hand chop it,
Yeah,
or
you
put
can
it
use
in
a
the grater.
box grater and grate it like you do potatoes. That's what I do. Is that when I do mine, I use the shredder, and so it comes out that way.
This way, you're going to get all sorts of different chunks, which is really kind of nice. All right. Perfect. There's a couple of big ones, and I'll cut those ones up. Oh, and here's another one here. Let me add this to the bowl. And if you've watched this show before, you know I use my hands all the time. And I have a spoon right there. I'm going to poke just a little bit more back in. Hang on.
So what the harosis is, it's a symbolism of the mortar that held the bricks when the Jews were slaves in Egypt. And so that's a remembrance of what harosis symbolizes.
Okay, and you see how fast that is. And you have all sorts of different sizes, which is really what you want. If you want it to be uniform and consistent, use the box grater. But I personally like it chunky and different kinds of sizes in here. So now to this, we're going to add a half a cup of different types of nuts. You can use whatever you have on hand. This is a combination of walnuts, pecans, almonds, and pistachios.
Yummy.
It's going to be good. All right, and now here's the part that's uniquely different. You don't have to add this in, you can leave it out, but we like to change things
Yes.
up. And so I'm combining, as I said, the Ashkenazi with the Sephardic, the dried fruit. So we have here dried apricots, and then I'm adding to this dried cranberries. I just think it'll be interesting that way.
And when you add the wine, it's going to plump all those things up too.
Definitely. So now let me add the sugar. And when you're making this, you need to taste it because you, like anything else, you've got to make some adjustments. So here I'm adding 1 teaspoon of sugar, but I wouldn't be surprised if I add some more as we progress. I'm also adding a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Now cinnamon goes a long way, so I'm adding that in there. So to this I'm adding the Manischewitz wine, and I add 2.5. You know what? I'm going for 3. I'm going to live dangerously, because if you know me, you know I like my wine. Okay, now we're going to stir it all up, and that little bit of cinnamon goes a long way. You can see it's incorporating and getting in to all the various pieces. And Deb, could we have some spoons so we can taste it and see?
Sure.
What,
The best thing about the Herosis is that if you let it, again, make these things ahead of time.
Ahead of time, definitely.
And so the wine and all the sweetness really comes into the Herosis, and it's
Right.
delicious. Excuse me, one
It's
second.
it's like making a bolognese. The longer your sauce sits, the better. And the same thing with this. I wouldn't be surprised if I think it needs a little bit more sugar. Let's see. What do you think?
I think it's delicious.
I do too.
I like the variations of the different nuts and the different fruits. Now, for me personally, when I make mine, I never use sugar because of the sweetness of the fruit. Well, I just use apples and cinnamon, and the wine and the nuts. But, you know, everybody's taste is different, and I think this is outstanding.
It's really good. So now we're going to show you, if you're not familiar with this, how we go about eating it during Passover.
You have a little matzah bag with matzah.
And do you have a
So matzah looks like this, and then you just break it into little pieces, and then you just add a little bit on there.
here you go.
Thank you.
It's my favorite part of Passover. It really is.
Ready?
I look forward to getting this. Mm-hmm.
Pour it up.
So try it. You saw how easy it is. And frankly speaking, you don't have to wait for Passover. It's really, really good. Anytime. There you have it. Welcome back. So our next segment, very exciting. Deb is going to show us how she does her famous brisket.
Actually, it's not my famous brisket.
It's
It's my
your-
friend's mom, Sandy Carr, who's a dear friend of mine who I play tennis with. Anyway, it's her recipe, and we had it at her daughter Melissa's house, and it was beyond delicious. So easy, easy peasy.
Okay, so show us.
Okay, so you buy a brisket. I bought a big one because we're having 18 people. And you know what? You can make this ahead of time, which is my favorite thing to do. You can freeze it, and it's ready to go. So you buy a brisket, you wash it off in the sink, and you pat it dry with a paper towel. Next,
I have a question. So a lot of times when you buy a brisket, there's a fat cap on it.
it's on the back.
Okay, so you keep the fat cap on it.
You need to have some, not a lot.
So sometimes at some places that you buy it, it'll be like 2-3 inches thick. Cut some of that off. So you're putting the fat cap on the bottom of it as
Yes.
well as on the top.
And actually, I had the butcher trim this for me because there was a lot more fat on there.
You don't need it because you're cooking it for so long too.
Right. And what happens if you do leave it on, it's really easy because it's really soft, and then it's real easy to cut off when you're going to cut it. Okay, so the next thing I do is we dried it, and then I like to have a deep roasting pan. Some people, I do have some roasting pans. I like this because when you're done, you throw it away. There's no cleanup with it. Next, we're going to add some porterhouse seasoning. Yeah.
And while you're doing that, I'll turn the oven on so we'll preheat it.
Yes, so you preheat the oven to 325. And,
Okay.
oh, sorry, I messed up. All right, so the next thing we do is the lemon from my lemon tree.
Wow, that's huge.
So you do 1 lemon, and the reason you do lemon, it helps break down the fat and makes the meat more tender. Because everyone's like, you want lemon in there? But yes, you do. So 1 large lemon, which this is, and you squeeze it on the top. And normally I take out some of the seeds. Here we go. There's lemon on the top.
So this is very different. I've never seen this
Yes.
cooked with a lemon.
Yeah, I was thinking, because I did it and I tried it, I'm like, wow, this, but we had it before. It was beyond delicious. And then take out a few more of the,
So it's a natural tenderizer.
yes. So keep that in mind when you want something more tenderized. I'm going to do it on the bottom, like so.
So your lemon is so big, it's the equivalent of at least 2, maybe 3 lemons.
Could be.
These look gorgeous
Yeah.
too. They're almost orange in color.
Yeah. So here's some. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Then, now, I am not a pepper fan. Some of you like pepper. At this point in the recipe, they say you can put cracked pepper on it. I'm not a pepper fan, so I love my porterhouse seasoning, and I just put that on. So I'm going to sprinkle on the top.
So whatever kind of meat seasoning that you have would work in this case.
Yes, yes. And you go like so. Whoop. Okay, so now that that's all on there, then you're going to take this and you're going to cook it for about 2 hours. So the next thing that you do is you take the foil.
Do you cook it with the onions or without?
Oh, sorry, I missed the onions. See, that's why we need each other, because
Right.
we forget. Okay, sorry. The next thing we do is we add
You add
the paprika.
There you go.
So, and you pour it all on top.
So that's a healthy portion.
Yeah. I'm just gonna cover it.
Does it matter what kind? If it's sweet or
They say
whatever?
Hungarian
Okay.
paprika, which could, and if you want it more smoky, you could do the smoked paprika. So as you see, here's your paprika, like so. And next you add the onions. So we sliced up 1 large onion, and you
That's
just
right.
put it on top. And so you have an onion layer. So here you go. And then this cooks for 2 hours. And then we're going, while this is cooking, I'm going to make the tomato sauce that I'll show you that we put on top. And then you cook it again, and then you add your potatoes and your carrots, and it is beyond scrumptious.
The key to a really good brisket is cooking it
Forever.
Forever. The first time I ever did a brisket, what a disaster. I thought it should be done within the hour, and you couldn't even put a knife through it.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
And remember, the lemon is also helping it to tenderize. So you take your foil, and this recipe calls for the shiny side down. So you're going to hold it like this. pop this into the oven. The other thing that I like to do, and I'm going to grab one before I put it in, I put it on a cookie sheet because this gets really heavy. And see, when I go to lift it, it's easier if you do that.
It stabilizes it.
Right behind you.
Good tip.
Okay, so as you see, we put this in, and you don't want to be lifting this when it's steamy, steamy hot. So now, we put this in for about 2 hours, and then when we take it out, I'm going to mix up our other sauce, and then after 2 hours, we pour that on and let it cook, and then we add the carrots and the potatoes, and then you let it cook a little bit more, and you are done.
I can hardly wait, yeah.
So the other thing, when you make a brisket, again, I'm always be prepared, have it done so that you're not cutting last minute. I cut the brisket after it's cooled, and I put it in my serving dish because I always like to use mine.
Just good serving dishes.
Yeah. And anyway, so I have it in there. So all I have to do is cover it with foil, put it in the oven. It's ready to go. I pull it out, I put it in my serving dish, and I'm done.
So my little tip for you all is, as Deb said, if you can make it the day before or early in the morning, it's best, and let it cool down. Then when it's cold, it's easy to slice.
Right, you cut it against the grain.
Against the grain, and you can cut it thin. Then I put it in a casserole dish, put it in the fridge again, and then when I'm ready to serve it with the sauce that I do, which is onions and a marmalade sauce on top, in the oven, bring it out, and you're good to go.
Right. Always, you know what? It's always good to do it ahead of time. And if you have room in your freezer, just freeze it. It's ready to go, and then pull it out the night before. Leave it in the refrigerator, let it defrost, and then you have it ready the next day. Because you're busy setting the table, and you know, if you want to do a nice presentation, and you know me, I'm always about the presentation.
Well, the other thing too, if you stick it in the refrigerator the night before, you can pull out the fat from it. It's already hard, and you just lift. Yeah, you could just lift it out. It looks waxy, and you lift it out, and you're left with the really good broth, etc.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Okay, so let's, if you can open up the oven for me.
Of course.
And here we go. Just open. I have another one. Oh, okay. And this will cook for about 2 hours. So in the meantime, while that's cooking, I'm going to make the sauce. So this is so simple. It's a cup of tomato sauce. If you can just hand me the spatula over there, please.
Is this okay?
Perfect. A cup of tomato sauce. Ketchup, not tomato sauce. Now the recipe called for dark brown sugar. I like to use light brown sugar. It doesn't matter. It's all good. And you mix this all together. Can't get any easier than this. You then mix it around like so. And it adds the sweetness to the meat.
And the ketchup has sugar in it as well.
Right. So then this gets poured on after 2 hours of cooking onto your brisket. And then the other thing that you do is you buy, I like the gold potatoes, and we cut these in half because you want them sort of like you're going to eat. And then these are placed around the side of the brisket, and then you are ready to go. So I'm going to...
It's sort of one pot cooking when you think about it.
It is. And because it cooks, there's so many other things that you can do while you're cooking. And the reason I like the golden potatoes, they're a little softer, and they're a little...
They're creamy.
They're creamy.
They're very creamy.
Yeah. So, and you can buy these in the store. And just like I said, you can cut them into smaller pieces or leave them like this. And then you put it in. And so that's the last thing that goes in. So it's been 2.5 hours. We pulled out the brisket. We put the sauce on top, added the vegetables, put it back in for another hour, and now I'm going to take it out of the oven, and I have pre-sliced it, but you'll be able to see what it looks like, and it's absolutely delicious.
I can hardly wait. No, and this is, as we've mentioned, this is something that you can serve all year round.
Oh yeah, it's good at Hanukkah time. It's good in any night of the week. It's absolutely delish. And so this is what.
Oh, it smells fantastic. Oh, wow. That is.
So I pre-made one, but
And
can
that's
you
how it's
see?
supposed to look.
And this is how it looks. And then again, it just cooks in its. Let me grab a fork.
So how long were the vegetables cooking for?
About an hour. You know, again, they can keep cooking, but you've got a little bit of everything. So you've got your brisket, you've got your veggies, you have your sauce. I'll put in a little potato for you.
Thank you. Oh, if you could only smell it, it's so wonderful.
And you smell-o-vision.
Oh my God, totally smell-o-vision.
Okay, and the brisket is just so tender.
Tiny.
Whoop. I'll grab one for me.
And it's so tender.
And the aroma is amazing. Let me grab you a fork and a knife. And dig in.
Okay.
Here we go.
Oh, bon appetit.
Oh. And as you see, it's so tender. Very good.
That is really good.
And the sweetness of it is delicious. And the nice thing too is that you have your potatoes and your carrots, so you have your veggie, and it just makes it really good. And the sauce is just unbelievable.
The sauce is really good.
Melt in your mouth, tasty. So enjoy,
Super good.
try it. Super easy. It just takes a little bit of time. So figure a good 4 hours of cooking, but you can do other things while it's in the oven.
Yeah.
And you can never overcook a brisket.
Just be patient with it.
Yes.
But it's really good. Thank you, Sandy Carr, for the recipe.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Amazing.
Beyond delicious. Thank you, Melissa, for serving it so that we got to taste it originally. Anyway, enjoy, and we'll be right back.